Okay, so welcome into Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as, no big deal. As I always say, in a good way, I don't care. I pick horse, cow, squirrel, minion. I know I'm not one of the minions because I'm pretty sure I was beat up by them. Anyway, and happy St. Patty's Day to all the folks out there celebrating. I think I have like one green item. I have a green bag and something else green. But anyway, I actually don't always look great in green, and I don't have a lot of clothes. So I tend to wear the same thing on a regular basis since I walk dogs and stuff like that. And anyway, I think my last name is really Old English. Like I think my family lineage is mostly like English. And I guess I don't know if there's any Irish. I kind of don't think so for some reason. Maybe a little bit of Scottish in the mix because of my mom's side of the family. And that would be, we have Wilkins, Taylor, Young. Those would be last names stemming off from there. From my dad's side, Cole and Long would be the only names that I know affiliated on that side. So anyway, today is day 76 of my one video each day, 365-day campaign, raising money for myself and also a family fund for the family left behind, for a life lost and stolen, and an inability to live life normally per se, because of a major attack and subsequent games that kicked off in January 2011. I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment. An orchestrated series of events was set out upon me, I guess, and conveniently enough, the neighbor who lived behind me wasn't home. She and her husband were in the Middle East visiting family. This would be a woman who was the daughter of a police officer, a blonde woman, Deborah, whatever, whose dad used to work at the precinct over on South Street next to Whole Foods. Anyway, so she and her husband, who was, I guess, Middle Eastern, and Abdel or something like that. So they were conveniently away the night that everything kicked off. Whole series of events. And I wound up with PTSD out the ASS beginning that night. And if that weren't enough, a whole bunch of games kicked off, and all the people who wove themselves, now I see that these people wove themselves into my life. I was reaching out, trying to figure out how to find my peeps or find a place in the world, if you will. I grew up in Delaware, moved to Philadelphia. And when I moved to Philadelphia, I kept trying different things to see like how I could be involved in the community, or I've volunteered at a million places and I've worked a million different jobs. And I kept reaching out to see, what kind of friends and network I could be a part of. But oddly enough, in the years leading up to 2011, I had met some people and I was kind of on the happy side, went to some holiday parties and stuff like that. But those people that I reached out to seemed to play games. Hard to explain. A lot is explained in my book, Duplicity and Duress, Snap Factories in the Making. I use the name Erin Vans, ERINVANS, if you ever want to give it a read. And that would explain the first 7 days of everything kicking off, which was a major, if people were to talk about your formative years of birthing, that would sort of like be the formative time period of whatever this massive thing was, which leads me to another notion, idea, or term that came up, which would be formation. And this has actually happened, and the easiest way to prove that it can happen would be, say you go to Walt Disney World or whatever, and everyone wears the same shirt in order to identify each other, or they have flags or whatever. There's some way to make sure you stay with your group or your gang. They even had Disney gangs for a while, kind of tongue-in-cheek and jokey-ish. But point being, that's how easy it is to have people form into a gang and loosely be connected or tightly be connected. And all those people are watching out for each other. Say you're not part of a large, huge network like that always wears the same shirt or what have you, and you're sort of like fell through the cracks of whatever infrastructure supposedly existed. So anyway, Here in the city, there are people who willingly participated in actually marching down the street or marching through Rittenhouse. Not, not as protesters, although that would be another example of people who are in formation per se. They probably wouldn't love that word, but point being, there are actual people who were willing to walk around the city in like a microcosm of the formation idea, but they would, walk around and sort of know people's schedules, specifically mine, and they would wear certain shirts that would indicate they knew my business. Say I looked up something like, I'll go with something really weird, like say I looked up bergamot essential oils, and it's kind of an odd thing to wear on a shirt. I would walk out the next day, and you'd have at least 20 to 30 people wearing something that said bergamot or essential oil or what have you, and they would be milling around the streets like in a formation per se. It has been so bad that I've seen people just coming down a street and they weren't your typical like people coming or going from work. You can tell the difference. Those people act naturally. They got to head over here, get onto the Patco line or whatever. This would be an actual group of people who are orchestrated to actually intimidate. It's totally bizarre and, odd. But anyway, so another example would be there was someone who kind of had this thought, and I found out about it. But there's a woman out there who keeps hopping. I think she's like in the field of law, and she's been hopping from one job to another, nonprofits to profits or whatever, maybe a position within the government or what have you. And the impression came out that she feels like her people are creating a web or entangling themselves, but this would be considered a ring. And they would be entangling themselves in different groups. And I think I wrote down exactly how it was worded. Let me see here. So this person felt like she was part of a formation, moving en masse from one job to the next until their mission is complete. So that's what she thought about her people. Like they had a mission to come in here and conquer say a targeted individual or several targeted individuals. And I wrote a bunch of comments in the chat that'll show up after this video processes over the past 48 hours, or over the next 48 hours. So, but it's this idea that there are groups who want to come in and take over a neighborhood, or they want to take over. I mean, the most criminalistic, easy to point out way or to look at this would be to see, say, a gang, drug addict gang or whatever, people who sell drugs, and they want to take over part of Kensington and they want that corner. That would be like the easiest way to see it. There are actually larger families, people with educations and stuff like that, who are doing the same exact action. They are taking the same actions. They think like gangsters. And they'll come in here and they want to take over a neighborhood because they are sick of the same people running the graduate hospital area. They are sick of the shows that get put on there, or what have you. Or fires have occurred in major cities. And in the past, there didn't used to be laws surrounding these fires. And they had to come up with laws to prevent people from creating fires and people gaining a lot of money through, say, like insurance claims or what have you, and then rebuilding with their own people having 10 times more money than they had before. They would just have to deal with the loss of some structures, and they might have even prepped for it and orchestrated that. But now there are supposedly laws in place to prevent people from doing that. But it's sort of this chase of who's correct, who's actually criminally minded. Technically, this woman who thinks this way as an actual lawyer, she sees her people as, as if, until we will keep conquering until I wouldn't like that hive-minded or herd-minded mentality. I wouldn't want to be part of a group that comes in to try to destroy another group. I'm more of a peace person. I'd rather be an independently minded person. But no, anyway, the word formations came up. I wanted to bring it up here today on day 76. So I'll wrap it up really quick. Happy St. Patty's Day. And, wear green or don't wear green. Technically, it's a holiday, so it's not a big deal. Thank you so much. And looking for anyone to donate, big and small, short and tall. It is a serious matter. I do want to have a normal life, but I am trying to figure out how to earn a living while having been tortured to death, even today. Thanks.